Good morning. Is this on?
Yeah, it's on. It's low, but yeah, it's on.
Yeah, good morning, good morning. Forgive me, for instance, for a start, for being in a wheelchair. I'm having some terrible problems with my leg, and I can't walk without crutches. And unfortunately, so it's more convenient actually when I do something like this that I'm pushed around in a wheelchair. So it's that's the reason I'm other than that I'm okay. Apart from a few memory problems. So be very careful what you ask me. Yeah.
Well, before we start off the Q&A, I just really wanted to kind of say about the impact that you've had on film, because I mean, you know, I did some research as I found out we were going to have you on stage, and you know what I did as I did in research, I realized how important you were in kind of at least my childhood growing up, because I was a big, I guess, a Britophile, if you will. I want everything British I loved, and as I'm reading all these things, and it's like where you were. I mean, I followed the Python, so I was watching Jabberwocky. I'm like, oh my God, he was the red herring, you know, the Black Knight in Jabberwocky as well, and in Clockwork Orange, you know. And as for those of you who guys don't know, he played Julian, just this huge body man, if you will, who kind of carried Malcolm McDowell around like a child. He was in the one of the first Benny Hill specials as well, and that episode is what sold the episode to the American audiences and brought it over to America. So it's just everything. I was a big fan of the Hammer House of Horror as well. You know, Frankenstein portrayals, and just as I realized, because when you're a kid and watching these films, you don't really pay attention to the actors, and as I'm reading all these credits, it's starting to come back to me, all these fun memories that you brought about. And another thing that you guys probably don't know, or if you do, you know, this is the only person in the building here that is a member of the British Empire for the work with the Green Cross Man and everything. And he really, yeah, it's just, so, I mean, I want to thank you for everything that you've done.
Thank you very much. What a lovely introduction. Yeah. The MBE I received from the Queen was for services to road safety and charity work that I've done over in Great Britain. For many years, I was the figurehead of the British government's child pedestrian road safety campaign. I think something called the Green Cross Code. And I used to travel all over the school. Well, first of all, we did several television commercials for the campaign, and then the campaign was so successful that they then said, well, how would I like to go around to travel around all the schools in Great Britain, giving talks to the children in schools. And without a doubt, it was one of the nicest jobs I have ever had. And it was quite interesting, because you go to these schools and you have an audience of about 400 or 500 children, and they're ranging from sort of 6 years of age to 9 or 10. And the thing is, at the end of these talks, I used to talk about 3/4 of an hour to the children, and at the end of the talk, I said, "Now, anybody got any questions?" Do you know, I never got one question about road safety. I never got one question about road safety. Every question I got was about Star Wars. But as I said, it was, for me, it was a wonderful opportunity to get the message over to the children. And as I said, it was a hugely successful campaign. We halved the road accident figures in Great Britain, and then in the year 2000, as I said, I was awarded the MBE from the Queen, which means I'm now a member of the Order of the British Empire. For what that means, I haven't got a clue.
I think you get to go to the Falkland Islands whenever you want to.
Yeah, probably.
I spent 3 weeks in London recently.
Did you? Yeah. And why didn't you come to see me? Yes, I'm not very far. I only live about 8-9 miles south of the centre of London. Yeah. Yeah. Where? Where in South London?
Wandsworth, Vaders.
Oh, Wandsworth. Yeah. I used to have a business at Wandsworth. I used to work for a company selling pictures and things like this. Yeah, in Wandsworth. Yeah.
No, you guys take your green man very seriously.
The Green Man's legacy. That's great.
Yeah.
So you started out bodybuilding and really into the lifting weights. Was bodybuilding a big thing back then, or were you kind of one of the pioneers of bodybuilding in Britain?
Well, I actually started bodybuilding primarily because I was having problems with one of my knees. One of my knees kept on swelling up, and they thought I had tuberculosis of the knee. I went into hospital for a long period, and then came out, and I started playing rugby for my school, and then we had a big accident. Somebody tackled me as we approached the posts, right? And as I got tackled, I hit the post, and then the crossbar came crashing down, landed on my knee, on my bad knee of all things, you know, and so consequently, I then had, you know, was having all sorts of problems knee-wise, and so I then really got to get back. I wanted to get back. You know, I wanted to get back. You know, I wouldn't say looking good or anything like this. I just wanted to get sort of fit and well again. So I started exercising, started training, and of course, eventually I became completely sort of besotted with bodybuilding, and eventually, as I said, ended up with I sort of won the Mr. West Britain, and I went into the Mr. Britain competition, and from the Mr. Britain competition into the Mr. Universe competition, and things like this. And I met all sorts of wonderful people, you know, like Arnold Schwarzenegger and Christopher Reeve. You know, I trained Christopher Reeve for Superman. That was one of the things, one of the little jobs, nice little jobs I had in my, yeah.
I say that was
he was lovely, actually, lovely guy, and I used to, I don't know whether anybody here know Harrods in London? There's a very famous store in London, and I used to have an exercise consultancy in Harrods on the second floor in the sports department. And when I was training Chris, he used to come and see. We used to train together at the gym in the evenings, but during the day, I was at the Harrods for 3 or 4 days a week. But for those 3 or 4 days when I was there, Chris used to come in twice a day to come and have breakfast or tea with me, morning tea, and about 11 o'clock in the morning, and then used to come again about 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon for more tea. Yeah. Wow. And then we used to train in the evening. But he was lovely guy. I got on very, very well with him. I thoroughly enjoyed his company.
You're one of the people who could say, I had tea with Superman on a daily basis.
I trade Superman. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
In Harrods, no less. In Harrods, no less.
In Harrods, yeah. It's Harrods. I don't think Harrods is what it used to be. Harrods is, you know, it's been sort of taken over by the Arabs, and I don't think it's anything like his you know, as highly respected as it was. Yeah.
I personally, sorry guys, I will turn to your Q&A eventually too. I promise that. Being on the set with someone like Stanley Kubrick, how was Stanley Kubrick as a director? I mean, that's just a pretty interesting experience. Had to be.
Well, Stanley was wonderful. It's one of the nice experiences I've ever had working on films. When I got the job. Everybody said, "Oh, you're working with Stanley Kubrick. He's a real hard taskmaster, you know." And but I got on very well with him. I think it was a question of, you know, if you stand up to him, and say what you will do and what you won't do, and or what you consider, if you feel that something's not quite right, or you don't feel that you can do it properly. I would say it to him, you know, and which I think lots of people were frightened to do it just in case they incurred Stanley's wrath. Right. But Stanley, I got on ever so well with Stanley, and we finished up the film with an open invite to go to his house anytime that I was up in the Elstree area. Yeah,
oh wow!
Yeah. And there was a very, very famous scene that I had in the film where I carried the writer, a guy called Patrick Monet, down the stairs in his wheelchair. And I think how it all started was, they said to me, or at least they came up to me and they said, I don't know whether you know or not, but you're going to be carrying Patrick McNee down the stairs in his wheelchair. You've got 3 flights of stairs to carry him down, right. and he's going to be strapped to your they put the wheelchair. They put the wheelchair on. I got the wheelchair, pulled the wheelchair into me, and the handles were on my hand. And then this guy who was weighing must have weighed 150, nearly 200 pounds, comes and sits in the chair.
Right.
And then I have to walk down 3 flights of stairs, put him down on the floor, right? Uh-huh. Push him into the table. and then sit at the table as though nothing's happened. You see? And so I did this, and I got to the table, and by the time I got to the table, I go, and I'm sat at the side of the table. But no, it was lovely. It was lovely working for him. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I got to this, at the end of the movie. Stanley came up to me and said he thoroughly enjoyed working with me, and if ever I was in the Elstree area, if I'd like to go to the house, his house, I was more than welcome, and so I did. Every time I was up in Elstree, because Elstree Studios is up, which is where we filmed Star Wars,
Right.
And so if ever I was up in Elstree, I always to make a point to go around to see
Great.
Stanley. Yeah, lovely, nice experience.
Yeah, that must have been amazing. It's like after a day on the set with Star Wars, you're just like, you know what? Time to hang out with Stanley Kubrick.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to open it up to questions from the audience as well. For Nick, for the audio, they're going to need to speak into this mic. But if you could,
okay, that's fine. So if you guys want to
kind of organize that line. If you have a question for David Prowse, please come on up to this mic here and form a nice line there.
Yeah, just kind of following me around the corner.
There we go.
David.
No, we need the mic because we're recording this. So yeah.
Okay. Yes, I've loved your work since I was a very
Into the mic a little bit more. There you go.
You had a lot of amazing moments in Star Wars. Your big entrance in Episode 4, fighting Obi-Wan. Everything in Episode 5. Episode 6, too, throwing the Emperor down the shaft. I know that was you, right?
It was me. Yeah, I do all the dirty work. Yeah.
So, two-parter question. One, what was your favorite moment of all time in doing all three movies?
I'll tell you, this is a question I get asked loads and loads and loads of times, and the thing was we did Star Wars on a straight salary, right? And when I came to do Empire and Jedi, they said what we'll do, we'll pay you a residual on the success of the movie, as to how much money this movie movie makes. And people say, now, what was your most memorable experience of working on the three Star Wars movies? And I said, well, it was when my first residual check arrived. Yeah, because it was quite a lot of money, like more money than I'd ever seen before in my life, like, you know.
All right.
So much for George Lucas and Richard Marquand and oh gosh, yeah. I mean, working on the three movies, it was nice. I mean, George Lucas was a great pleasure to work with, and then we did with Richard Marquand, and then we did the third one as well, and there were three nice directors to work with.
Oh, and the second half of my question. It's awesome to meet you, since this is a new era of Star Wars, especially since your character is coming back for Rogue One, based on what I've heard. Here's what I wanted to ask. I've always wanted to ask this since December from Vader himself. What do you think of your grandson?
Oh, he's grown up well. Yeah. He's got a good taskmaster to follow. Yeah.
All right, great. Thank you. Next question.
All right. Well, it's a total honor to be able to talk to you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you for making such a big part of my childhood. And one of the questions I wanted to ask you is, well, two questions really. What's the chance of you coming back in Episode 8 as one of those like blue Force ghost things?
Well, I would love to come back, but it's whether there's ever another role which I could play. I don't think I could come back as anything to do with Darth Vader. I don't think so, unless I come back as some ghostly character.
Oh. along with little Ghost Yoda.
But no,
Ghost
I mean,
Obi.
I'd love to come back. I'd love to come back and do more.
And seeing episode 8 for the first time, what did it missionally make you feel like? How did you
Well,
feel?
to be honest, I didn't like it very much. I shouldn't say this. I mean, I have a very good friend down in South Wales called Jace Lewis, who's a very famous rock drummer. And he said to me, he said, how would you like to come to South Wales? I live in Croydon, which is south of London, so I'm about 300 miles away from South Wales. You see, he said, how would you like to come down to South Wales to see the new film when it comes out? You see, so I said, yeah, I'd quite enjoy it. He said, that's all right. So I'll come and pick you up. So he drove 300 miles to pick me up. 300 so take me down to the film. They laid on the biggest limousine that you've ever seen. It was this enormous limousine to take me to the cinema. All right. So I go to the cinema, and there's crowds and crowds and crowds of people there. Like the cinema's packed, and I'm sat in the luxury seats at the back of the cinema, and watch the film. And then my partner, this Jace Lewis, at the end of the movie said, what did you think of that? I said, I thought it was boring. He said, what? He said, don't say that. He said, you can't say that. I said, well, I was waiting for some action. And I said, I didn't see much in the way of action in the movie. I said, but I mean, everybody loved it. Everybody's loved the film.
Yeah.
But I personally, I think I was just, as I said, looking for some more action in the movie. I think everybody was in the movie were terrific.
Well, anything's better than episode 2 and 3, space politics. But yeah, awesome talking to you.
Yeah.
You're the best, man.
Thank you.
He jacked his mask and burned it.
Hi, David
Hello.
Prowse.
Hi.
It is an honor to meet you. I think you make a great Darth Vader, and I'm honored to meet you.
Thank you.
Here is my question. So how did you? So I know how you were Darth Vader in the movies. So how did it feel doing all the poses, like the Force choke and dealing with the lightsabers and stuff? How did it feel? Besides being Darth Vader, how did it feel like being in costume on set?
Well, on set, when you're working on set, it's quite comfortable. I mean, the costume is all made to measure. It's all very, very comfortable. Obviously the mask and the helmet are a bit of a problem. And the other thing we had a bit of a problem with the eyepieces because we started off with straightforward opaque lenses, and then unfortunately what happened, Lucas turned around and said, well, look, terribly sorry, but we can see your eyes flickering behind the lenses on the mask. And he said, we don't want to see anything of you whatsoever. I said, thank you very much. Gee, thanks, yeah. So the next thing, they brought in a sort of an amber lens, you see. And next thing I know, they come back again. They said, we can still see your eyes flickering away there, you know. And I said, I'm so sorry, terribly sorry, but I can't help it. And then the mask goes away again and comes back with a dark amber lens. Now I can hardly see where I'm going. I mean, it got so dark under the lights of the film. It was okay, but when you came away from the lights, I was tripping over everything, because the lenses were so dark. But it was quite okay.
Thank you.
Lovely, thank you. Hello.
Hello, I'm Kanisha. Let me say this before. I wasn't gonna come to Magic City, and then I heard that you were gonna come.
Thank you.
So I came. My question is, when you got the role of Darth Vader, did you realize that, or did you know that it was gonna make such a huge impact on your generation and the next, and so on and so forth?
No, I had no idea. I had no idea whatsoever. I mean, all I knew was he was the big villain of the film, and as far as my preferences are concerned, I prefer playing bad guys to good guys, and I thought well, Darth Vader is going to be an interesting role, but I never had any idea that Darth Vader was going to have really have the attraction that he eventually got and continues to have. Because I'm very fortunate in as much that here we are 40 years later. I mean, we did Star Wars in 1976. That's 40 years ago, And I said, and here we are 40 years later. I'm traveling all around the world, I can be somewhere different in the world every weekend doing sci-fi conventions. And I get this fantastic accolade of all everybody comes up to you and they want to meet you and say what a wonderful job you did and things like this. It's a wonderful. I mean, it really is. It's a wonderful situation to be in, and I'm thoroughly enjoying every minute of it.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Hello.
Hi. I was wondering, when you first got the role, did you know you were Luke's father?
No, I had no idea. No, I knew nothing about being Luke's father at all. No.
And,
No.
could you relate to any part of Vader's personality or character?
What? Sorry.
Could you relate to any part of the character of Darth Vader?
No, not really. No, it's just the thing is, I being 6'7" and being big and muscular and all that business, you're always the bad guy. You're never the good guy. You're never the happy father, and with 6 children and things like this, and you're always the bad guy. You're always a menace, as it were. So I'm quite happy. I'm quite happy being a menace. Yeah. I love it.
Thank you.
Phantom Menace. You're right. Yeah.
Hi, it's great to talk to you.
Thank you.
I'd like to ask if you could share some memories of working on the old Hammer movies, especially the Frankensteins and working with Peter Cushing. And all that.
I was very fortunate to do three Hammer movies. We did the very first one was the horror of Frankenstein. Mm-hmm. Then we followed that with Vampire Circus, and then we followed that with Monster from Hell. They were really three very, very interesting and good movies. For me, it was interesting working with the 3 different directors as well. They all work in different ways, and they're all very nice socially and things like this. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Thoroughly enjoyed all 3 movies. And I would love to do more Hammer movies. To be honest, unfortunately, you don't must hear much about Hammer these days. But it's they were three really good movies for me, and I think they did my career the world of good. Actually, I think having played the sort of the roles that I played in the 3 Hammer movies, they were all quite what should I say? They were quite important roles really in the films. It wasn't like just some little small piece that you go away and forget. Everybody remembers me from the 3 Hammer movies.
Well, and what about the makeup? Would you talk about what it was like?
Well, no, that's no problem. So they used to come and do that while you were on set. I used to have to go into the makeup department first thing in the mornings, and just up for just for a little touch up, as it were, and then they used to follow you around all during the course of or just before you were about to film, when you were about to work, and then they would come they would sort of descend on you and touch up again and all those sorts of things. But no, it was good.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, what I found very interesting too, in Star Wars, when you were on set with Peter Cushing and knowing the Hammer background of him at one point playing Dr. Frankenstein, you playing the Frankenstein monster. It's like, here we are again with the creature and this heartless other person there.
He was a lovely man, lovely person to work with. Yeah, he was great.
Yeah. Oh, hi. My name's Nick, and great honor being in your presence, sir. Darth Vader is the first character I ever loved. I'll buy a bunch of Darth Vader merchandise and more than Kylo Ren. But I'll even go dressed like Darth Vader to different places, and that's not even Halloween. I get a lot of laughs, but I have 2 questions for you. First one is, did you keep any of the any of the props from Star Wars, like the lightsaber or the Darth Vader mask?
You must be joking. They watched you like a hawk. I mean, there was no way that you could get away with anything whatsoever. From the movie. I'm not one of these people that goes around stealing bits and pieces from the movie anyway. But they were so very, very tight and they were watching you all the time, just in case you I just happened to pick up something and take it away. I never got any relics from either of the. I don't think I've done that with any of the movies actually that I worked on. I mean, even all the Hammer movies and things like this. And I've never I don't think I've ever sort of picked up anything and taken it away with me, and you know.
And my second question is like in Empire, like Lucas kept the whole Darth Vader is Luke's father like very shut down. So when filming the scene, I recall that you said something else to Mark Hamill during that scene. What was that something else?
Can't remember. I don't know. It's too long ago.
Probably dinner plans.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Yes.
Well, thank you, sir.
Unfortunately, as I said, as I got progressively older, I seem to be developing a sort of memory problem, and it's something which is recognised, and there's lots of things I'm having problems trying to remember things which happened a long time ago. But I'm also having problems about remembering what happened yesterday and the day before, and things like this. So it's. So if I'm unable to answer some of your questions, I hope you'll understand.
Thanks, sir. You're
okay. Thank you.
I guess number one, why hasn't the Queen given you a knighthood yet?
I wish. That would be lovely. That would be nice.
And was
Sir
that
Darth.
like actually your face at the end of Return of the Jedi?
I'm sorry?
Oh, all right. And was it difficult to lift Ian McDermott up in Return of the Jedi?
Not for me, it wasn't. No. No. Well, no. I mean, being a weightlifter, I mean, I've lifted a lot more than him above my head and things like this. No problems whatsoever. Yeah. Hello.
Hello again. My question is that I understand you trained Christopher Reeve for the role of Superman. Yeah. Roughly what kind of regimen, thank you, did he have? Because one thing that I noticed in all the Superman films that he was in, compared to like say other movies nowadays, like his physique is like consistent throughout all the movies.
His what is?
His physique, like he doesn't look bigger or like has lost like muscle mass. Like what kind of regimen did you put him on?
Well, I used to have my own gymnasium in London at the time, and also on top of all that, I was also an exercise consultancy at Harrods, and then I had another exercise gymnasium in one of the big London hotels and things like this. So I had various places where we could train. But most of the time, Chris used to train with me in a place called Grosvenor House in Park Lane, which is a very nice gymnasium there. But as I said, it was just a question of, the main thing is when he came to me to start with, he was quite slight. I mean, he wasn't very muscular or anything like this, And when they showed me the original pictures of Chris, and I said, well, how would you expect a guy like this to play Superman? I said, Superman's, needs to be a bit muscular. They would say, well, this is the problem. They said, we want you to build him up. So I said, well, how long have I got to do it? And they said, well, about 6 weeks. I said, well, I can't. You can't.
6 weeks.
You can't do that in 6 weeks. But the thing was that what I did is I did two main things. One thing I fed him everything I could get down him. Every protein food. Protein food is very, very important when you're doing bodybuilding or when you're trying to put on muscle on people. You've got to eat plenty of eggs, cheese, meat, fish, chicken, all that business. Those sorts of things. And stay away from the non-protein foods. And that was what I did with Chris. I got him. I was forcing it down him. He would come into Harrods to see me, and I would make certain that he was eating the right sort of things when he came into Harrods to see me in the mornings. He used to love coming into Harrods actually, because I used to have an exercise consultancy in Harrods, which is one of the greatest shops in the world. It's one of the big stores, but great stores of the world. And he used to come in to see me and come in for morning tea about 10 o'clock in the morning, then come in again and see me in the afternoon at 3 o'clock for tea, another tea session, and then come to see me in the gymnasium in the evening. And but it was a question, as I said, of the other thing it was a question of getting the right protein foods into him, and the more I could get into him, and the harder we could train. And the better the results.
Thank you. Well, great job. He looks very
Yeah,
strong,
yeah,
not
yeah.
slight at all.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you so much.
It's surprising what you can do actually when you take over looking after somebody, providing the bone structure is okay. If he's the right sort of the right bone structure, is amazing what you can do with somebody to improve their physiques in next to no time.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hi, it's really cool seeing you. My questions are, what do you think of Jar Jar Binks, and if you think he's a
Not
Sith
a lot.
Lord?
Not a lot. No.
Because he uses the Force a lot of times. Well, the Force.
No, I have nothing whatsoever to do with Jar Jar. No, sorry about that. I can't talk to you about Jar Jar Binks. Yeah,
we prefer that.
I wouldn't know him if he walked in here.
And my other question is, what do you think of the Ewoks and how they took down all the stormtroopers? And they're like little fuzzy bear.
Well, once again, I think that's cinema for you. Yeah. No, I can't really comment on it. It's, no. Sorry. Yeah.
Thank you.
Ta.
Hello.
Hi there.
Hi. My question is, when you're making Star Wars, did you ever see the metaphors, like the first film, Star Wars film, being like the Wizard of Oz while you were making it on set with it's like a spiritual journey, and you have the Darth Vader sort of like the Wicked Witch, the wicked Sith of the West, antagonizing the Darth.
Never thought of this at all.
Well,
never crossed my mind. No, nothing like that ever. No,
people make the comparison. Well, the other question we have was, what were Terry Gilliam and Stanley Kubrick like to work with on personality-wise on the
Gilliam.
Terry Gilliam and Stanley Kubrick on Jabberwocky and A Clockwork Orange, respectively.
Well, they were very pleasant and very nice people to work with. I got on very well with them. And it's, Stanley Kubrick is a wonderful director, and as I said, the thing is if you get on well with the individual, if you get on well with them themselves, and you respect them for everything seems to fall into place. And so, as I said, I had a very, very nice time both with Terry Gilliam and Stanley.
Well, that's great.
Very pleasant.
Hello, sir. It's
Hi.
very pleasure to meet you. So, when I was about 3 or 4, one of my first memories was seeing Star Wars in the theater, seeing the star blow up, and I thought you were very cool and very menacing. And they used to go around, I think, and they had Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader that would come to like Sears, and people would line up and shake their hand and everything. And I was about 4, and I was terrified of Santa Claus. I would cry if I got near Santa Claus, but I wanted to go shake Darth Vader's hand. And Luke was there. I don't even know if it was Mark Hamill, because I just completely ignored Luke and I just went right for Darth Vader. Was that really you, or was that just a very tall guy?
I'm sorry to disappoint you.
You're killing my childhood.
Definitely wasn't me. Yeah, definitely wasn't me.
Right
Yeah, yeah.
Couldn't you just lie to me and let me die in peace? Just say it was you. It was you, right? Okay. It's an honor.
No, I mean, I live in England. I mean, so if you think I'm kind of thinking like...
There's planes. There are planes.
Yeah, but I don't
country.
think they fly me over to tour the supermarkets to shake hands with the kids, as it were.
Sears is not a
I think it'd have to be a bit more to
They're
it
not
than
Sears
that.
in Great Britain. They're England.
No, I'm terribly sorry to disappoint you.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah.
I also
you
came
can shake
because
hands
you were
with me
here.
later on if you like. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
This guy had an office in Harrods. He's not going to Sears.
Yeah.
Hello,
Yeah.
privileged to meet you, sir.
Thank you.
I was about 11 years old when I saw the movie in the theater. And my question is, could you provide an anecdote of working with George Lucas? Most memorable.
No. I mean, it was. To me, he was another film director. Got on very, very well with him. He was quite pleasant to talk to. You could discuss things with him. You could sit down and go over your scene with him, and get his input and hope that the way what you wanted to do, allied with what he wanted. And we got on very, very well together. Very nice. He was very pleasant to work with.
Okay.
Very nice.
Thank you very much.
Love to work with him again.
Is that it, Nick? All right. Well, guys, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. And just again, thank you for such an icon in film and also in British society.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
David Prowse.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been a great pleasure. Thank you very much.